hungry to find Brian Laundrie. They're ambitious to partner with us.
Police say Brian Laundrie's parents told them Brian went hiking in the reserve last week. And new today, we're learning from neighbors that the entire Laundrie family, mother, father, and son Brian, went on a camping trip while Gabby was missing. This is what the neighbors told Fox News.
We saw them, I saw them
Bro.
loading it up, and so I assumed they were preparing for, a camping trip with their new camper.
They were gone for the weekend.
So you pushed her and
Yo.
Statement from the Moab, Utah.
Nah, this man, the whole family has to get charged at this point. The whole family has to get charged at this point.
I wasn't sure how serious this was. It
Bro.
was hard to tell if they were sort of play fighting, but from my point of view, something definitely didn't seem right. It was as if the guy was trying to leave her and maybe take her phone. Not sure, but wanted to help out. The investigation continues as this memorial grows for Gabby in Northport, Florida. Even strangers are so touched by this tragedy.
Should touch everybody's heart. I mean, this girl's with a beautiful smile.
So,
it looked like
before the cops even came and got
the search for Gabby,
their car, he went camping with them.
So I'm thinking they picked up the Mustang from the police station.
Yo, if someone has a ring in front of their house, it's gonna go crazy.
Pickup truck or parents at the house. Mustang is back. Oh, so they dipped out. Parents dipped out.
Florida. Brian, what is the latest where you are?
Well, Marnie, it was a frustrating day today for a number of reasons. Number one, the Laundries are still inside this house behind me, and they are still not talking. The search today at the reserve, they came up with nothing there today. But there is some new, very interesting information about this camper behind me that's only adding to the mystery. The search for Gabby Petito's fiancé Brian Laundrie in this massive Florida wildlife reserve went on Wednesday, and for the first time, we spotted divers and underwater teams who started searching lakes and waterways. Search crews from all over the state are assisting.
These guys are law enforcement partners. They're motivated and they're hungry to find Brian Laundrie. They're ambitious to partner with us.
Police say Brian Laundrie's parents told them Brian went hiking in the reserve last week. And new today, we're learning from neighbors that the entire Laundrie family, mother, father, and son Brian, went on a camping trip while Gabby was missing. This is what the neighbors told Fox News.
We saw them, I saw them loading it up, and so I assumed they were preparing for a camping trip with their new camper.
They were gone for the weekend.
So you pushed her and
a newly released witness statement from the Moab, Utah disturbance between Brian and Gabby is also shedding light on the troubled relationship. The witness wrote, "I wasn't sure how serious this was. It was hard to tell if they were sort of play fighting, but from my point of view, something definitely didn't seem right. It was as if the guy was trying to leave her and maybe take her phone. Not sure, but wanted to help out." The investigation continues as this memorial grows for Gabby in Northport, Florida. Even strangers are so touched by this tragedy.
should touch everybody's heart. I mean, this girl's with a beautiful smile. It looked like she had life in her hands, and just taken away from her.
Yeah, man. All she did was just try to stream.
And as for the search at the wildlife reserve, police told us tonight
no
that
different
they
than what
plan
I'm
to be
doing.
right back out there bright and early tomorrow morning. Marnie?
Brian, in terms of that search, have police said how much of the area they have combed through so far?
Okay.
All right, give me.
It's on Twitter. Like I should do.
Oh, I called the wrong number. Oh no.
Host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
So if some people want to call, they can. Let me read the super chats, and then I'm gonna get the aerial view as well. I'm just gonna post the number, and I'll say it. 954 something 787-3009. 954-787-3009. And if you just have something new, something different, some different observations, let me get through the super chats real quick. I have the line set to 10 calls max, so it doesn't get out of control. Let me just read the super chats. Let's get this guy on the screen.
Since done any.
Did they on? Okay. All right. And super chats, I'm a mess. Okay. So for today, all right. Courtney, thank you so much for the super chat. Video by Behatty Life. She did a video 5 days ago before they found Gabby. It is unreal how this reading went. I just watched and it's mind blowing. Thank you, Courtney, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Harley Quinn, appreciate your work, Ick. Thank you, Cagney Walker. For some reason, I believe Brian could be on the Appalachian Trail.
What?
Headed north. Interesting. Teresa, thank you for the super chat. Kayla, even if they never prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Brian is guilty of a crime, won't his parents feel guilty for not speaking up? Apparently, they seem not bothered. Hush, happy essay. This is one of the best sites for info. Thank you for your amazing work. Thanks. Appreciate you, Hush. X Zoomed 17. Dog Bounty Hunter had an interview about this case. What he said is correct. Look up his background and locate his family and friends. Agreed. Emily, thank you for the super chat. Please check your email. I sent proof debunking the sonogram. Thank you. Tom sent me too the screenshot, but when I take the calls, I'll take a look for your email. Robert Sheridan, welcome back, man. Thanks for the super chat. The fight at the restaurant was clearly the motive for her death, given the date, August 27th, and being that her body was found 10 minutes from the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
That couple
10 minutes from the restaurant?
Probably, I mean, it seems like they've always had issues, especially from what the friend is saying. Uzi, to Gabby's family now, let's let the police do the rest of the work. Let's find Jelani Day. And let me read the next comment for two. Rhonda, thank you for the super chat. Todd, breaking news, MSNBC, Brian Laundrie is hiding in, oh Lord, Joe Biden, in a basement, Delaware. Woozy, Jelani Day is an aspiring doctor, has gone missing and fined. To Gabby's family, let the cops handle the rest. Thank you for the super chat. We have something coming up eventually for that within a couple days. I have a friend researching it for me. Today we got the interview that I'm releasing. That's is a story that I plan on covering. Now let me move to the calls. 3 minutes, timers, and 562. How you doing? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from California. It's Jacob.
Hey, Jacob. Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah. I just personally think he's in that reserve because, you know, if the FBI is looking for you, you obviously did something wrong, and if they're wasting that much resources, they're not telling us something, or they probably found something in there that's because they're knocking down trees and stuff with that buggy thing, and I just don't think they would just be out there if something wasn't out there, you know?
Is that what that does too? Like that buggy thing, it knocks trees down as well? It looks like there's something in the front of it.
Yeah.
Or just pushes everything out of the way. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh. So you think it's possible it's out there? Now, people, like, do you think people are saying he can't be out there because he's not the survivalist type? I mean, he knew how to build stuff. I mean, he seemed like he was a very outdoors person, but I don't know what kind of skill you'd have to be out there that long. More than an average person, I'm sure.
Neither do I, but I'm pretty sure, like, because, as you know, the FBI is, like, pretty elite. So, like, I mean, the FBI doesn't even look for, like, missing kids and stuff. So if they're out there with that many people, with so many, like, departments, then something's probably out there that they're not telling us.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your call, dude. Thank you so much. 985, how are you doing? Where you calling from?
Hi, Mel. It's Gianna. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for calling. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I just want to say I think Brian is. I think he's in another country. I mean, I don't believe he's got the skills that everybody thinks he's got. And then everybody was giving Nina hell, the little girl, that seen them at the Mary Piglets. But we just had a hurricane here in New Orleans. Just got lights on, like in the middle of last week. So they couldn't even get back to their house. So you know what I'm saying. So that's why it took her so long to even say what.
Right now, in Florida, the search for Gabby Petito's boyfriend is still focused on a vast nature preserve. Teams have been scouring the swampy area since the weekend. A preliminary autopsy found Gabby's death during a cross-country trek out west to be a homicide. Investigators are asking anyone, if you know where he is, contact authorities.
Hey, I'm Jim Weber in the Fox 13 Weather Center. Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we now have Tropical Storm Sam. That was Tropical Depression number 18 that was started yesterday. The advisories were started this morning. We now have this as a tropical storm. Winds are now at 50 miles an hour. You look at the satellite imagery on this, and it's definitely starting to get more organized. You're starting to see more of that outflow pattern. That's where you see that almost looks like that fanning effect on the edges of the clouds, and you're seeing that around most of the system. So the wind shear really doesn't look like it's playing a big part in this. We've got the light wind shear. We talked about this over the past several days with Peter and with Rose. They were further north, and there was just a lot of wind shear, just basically shredded those systems apart. But this one, this was forming further to the south, and it would be south of all that wind shear, and that would not be an issue. In fact, you look at the wind shear and the satellite imagery all kind of combined.
The search for answers in the Gabby Petito case continues today at the family home of Brian Laundrie.
Yeah, right now law enforcement is still active in their neighborhood, and that's where 8 on your side's Christine McClarty has been staked out all day. She joins us now live from Northport at this Laundrie residence with more on the story. Hi, Christine.
Hey guys, the Laundrie home is still actively being investigated by Northport police. You can see the home just here behind me. It looks like what it might be an FBI car, an unmarked car, and police right now chatting in front of the home in the Laundries as the search for their son continues in the woods just about 10 minutes away.
I come down this way all the time because of the backup of lights, so I come down through here.
Gary Coble lives a few streets over, but travels this one often. The street Brian Laundrie's parents live on, and where he was last seen a week ago, leaving the house to go hiking. Since then, he's been missing, and remains of who is believed to be his fiancée, Gabby Petito, found in the woods of Wyoming.
It's pretty sad. Pretty sad.
Today, there's not a lot of action at the Laundrie house. A major juxtaposition from this scene Monday when 15 FBI agents and Northport police swarmed the house with crime scene tape and suitcases of equipment, executing a court-authorized search warrant. Monday, a tow truck at the home took the Ford Mustang belonging to Brian Laundrie. That's the same car found at the Carlton Reserve last week, later driven home by family. Now that car is being held at the Northport police station. Coble says having national news in his backyard has his family worried.
Got my daughters up in Indiana, and my sister-in-law's in New York, and they both called and wanted to know what was going on.
Another neighbor, Terry Kiss, agrees.
My dad in New Jersey and my aunt in California and stuff like that. They're like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? I was like, yes, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Just sitting in the house, minding my own business.
If Brian Laundrie is watching, your neighbors have this message for you.
Absolutely, he should turn himself in.
Turn yourself in. They're hunting. They'll find you.
Now, police are still here as the investigation continues. We did speak with neighbors who say living on this street this week has been an absolute nightmare. More details on that coming up live at 6:30. Josh, back to you.
Yeah, I was out there yesterday for the majority of the day, and neighbors were not pleased that so much media was out there. You know, yesterday The field office from the FBI in Tampa says that they've pretty much wrapped up the investigation and the search of that home. So anything else happening with the home today that you noticed?
Not as much today. Honestly, it's just being monitored. As I said earlier, we have some police and FBI going up and down the block and monitoring the area, but that's the latest as of now.
All right. Christine McClarty live for us out in Northport tonight. Thanks so much.
A former Navy SEAL sounding the alarm on hundreds of Navy SEALs quitting over these vaccine mandates. And it's not just happening in the military. Law enforcement members are also fighting back, including a veteran police officer out in California who hung up his badge over the vaccine requirement for all city employees. David Gutierrez served nearly 30 years in the San Jose Police Department, and he joins us now with more on his decision. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And, I just want to thank God for giving me the strength to step out of my comfort zone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Oh, well, you know, thank you so much.
And I took it as a threat, and because I don't plan to be vaccinated, and I'm definitely not alone. There's several.
How we gotta get back on top?
Gabby was going to get out that situation in the fight between the restaurant to the police. They got pulled over. So he's a critical thinker. He knows what he's doing. And in 35 hours to get to Florida, or whenever he got to Florida, we know he got there, the first that morning or the 29th that morning, according to the police stop. But
Damn.
people's focus is in such the wrong place, even the FBI. How could you be searching in this reserve saying his parents gave us a tip, he's a missing person, and the dogs are picking up something here? Cool. You could go based on that, but he frequently went there. And then another new thing that one of you researched something today, they said that the parents didn't even live in this house. They rented it. Who did they rent it to? Where are Brian's friends? Who did Brian talk to, y'all? Our focus has to shift. Where is this guy? He's not in that reserve. And let me tell you, to Joy Reid and to all the people who are speaking out about the missing colored people, it brings me to how this is kind of a stage thing. And if you look at everything, it's kind of staged because yes, we have Indian women who, like they said, came up missing 15 in that area in the same month. We have black people who have came up missing, Jaylani Day, the people who have came up missing. But hold on, let me get back to my point. These people have came up missing and no light has been shed on them. No Fed cases have been shed on them. But no media has picked up either, just as well as them being in this restaurant, and nobody else has spoke out. We have to start speaking out. We have to start being critical thinkers as this man. We can't just keep looking for these little bitty clues. Them clues are not our focus. This man is not in that reserve.
With the nationwide manhunt for Brian Laundrie intensifying, new details emerging on one of the last known sightings of the couple together. A Wyoming restaurant confirming Gabby and Brian were there August 27th, arriving on foot without their van. In Laundrie's quiet Florida community, neighbors are personally invested in the case. Karen Aberts lives across the street from the Laundrie's home and remembers Gabby and Brian working on their van in the driveway.
Did it look like a happy situation? It seemed like, you know, your normal young couple just kind of hanging out.
Aberts says Laundrie and his parents would go on evening walks together. She says they seem like a friendly, normal family, but adds now she has serious questions she'd like answered.
Where's your son? And why aren't you seeming to be more concerned about where your son is and supposedly the love of his life, who is now no longer here? And how are you living with knowing that your son could be the ones responsible?
Laundrie's parents told police Brian went to the Carlton Reserve with a backpack on Tuesday, September 14th. driving a silver Ford Mustang authorities later towed from the family's home as evidence. A lawyer for the Laundrie family says when he did not return, family members eventually drove the car back from the preserve several days later. Investigators have spent 4 days searching the 25,000-acre wetlands with dive teams, K-9 units, and ATVs, but have turned up no sign of Laundrie, a person of interest in Gabby Petito's homicide.
We've deployed numerous resources, and we are trying to cover every acre in this preserve.
Petito's body was found in this Wyoming campground 18 days after Laundrie arrived back in Florida with the van they've been traveling in, chronicling their adventures on social media. He has not been charged with the crime and has not spoken with police. Laundrie's parents, through their attorney, called Gabby's death heartbreaking. This morning, after multiple unconfirmed potential sightings, Laundrie is still at large, and Petito's family no closer to the answers they so desperately seek.
And Katie, you mentioned that the officials are bringing in divers to search those swamps in the search effort, and that's a new detail. So what made them decide to do that?
Well, investigators aren't telling us of any specific piece of evidence, Hoda, but they have mentioned that 75% of the area they are searching back there is underwater. So if there is evidence beneath the surface, this is going to be the best way to find it. We are also here now as teams arrive again. They are going to be searching all day today. Hoda?
So again, now that I know you guys are on, and I'll kind of point out where we are. Basically, see this corner right here where the street is. This is the entrance where the police can enter. This is where all the media is staged back in this area. So this in here is where the police, this is the entrance to the park. The police are back. They have a lot of vehicles parked on the roadway down through here. Here's the airboat we saw earlier, waiting to see if they deploy that. Over here is the command center. We'll fly back over there. They were having their morning meeting, deciding where to go, where to cover. We'll see if there's... So we're going to start following and see where they go. Again, and when they do, we'll follow and see where they go. Move the camera in. So there they get into these little all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, and head out. And I'll look for dive teams as well. We didn't see them the other day we were down here, but we'll definitely keep an eye. And we'll see if any have started going out.
Let's see if we can find anything like about fire. Yeah,
well, it could be weeks before we know what led to gas.
This is wild. And this storm's like every day in Florida, so like you'd be wet too. Like all this stuff would be wet. We know this already. It's wild.
So where is Brian Laundrie? Still alive. There are allegations that Brian appeared on Instagram Live accidentally for 2 to 3 seconds, and viewers saw water as if he were on a boat. Many other users witnessed this event, and that's the real reason why the FBI called off the investigation in the Florida Wildlife Refuge. The family car that was left at the Florida Reserve was a red herring to distract police so that Brian can make his getaway.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Definitely didn't go live chat. Bro's following less and less people. I feel like he's getting saying he's watching like a murder book or something. Reading a murder book.
And they could have, and yes, Brian probably drove that Mustang there, and they picked him up. They took him somewhere. They have a huge head start, and it is very strange for nobody to talk, and especially to lawyer up immediately, especially to plead the fifth. Most people plead the fifth when they're getting arrested or when they're about to get charged. I mean, that's the reason they read you your rights, to give you that option. He honestly chose that right to just shut up.
Right.
But with the camping situation, that definitely makes sense. They left the car there. And the reason, too, going back to the other people saying, well, the FBI is doing their job. Yes, they're doing their job because this is such a big media outlet. Everybody's watching it. They have to literally comb. 25,000 acres is a lot of acres. They have to comb it all, because if they mess something up, because they've already messed up once. I watched the press conference exactly on live when the officer or the chief said, yes, I know where Brian is. And it's very sad, too, because I've watched a lot of 48 Hours. I've watched a lot of detective shows. They have held people without any evidence up to 24 to 36 hours. And then you would see them scramble because they was about to have to release them because they had no evidence. Law or no law, it doesn't matter. When somebody has this many red flags, when you leave with two people and you come back with one person, and especially he came back in a vehicle that's not his, that's not in his name, it's not like they're married, they're engaged.
Thank you,
that's
man.
a huge red flag.
Yeah.
But again, you are amazing for what you do, and I'm
Thanks,
so
man. I
glad
really
to see your
appreciate
views
that.
go up. It's very sad that it has a
I know
situation.
it's weird. It's really weird. It's a weird. I think about it sometimes too, but I
Going
just
back
try
to the
to.
camera real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I know 3 minutes goes, and I want to respect your time, but it makes sense. They could have went anywhere for 2 to 3 days. You see how far he traveled in 30-something hours.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, he could have went somewhere. They could have taken him somewhere. They could have taken enough food. They could have taken enough supplies. They left the car there. When they came back, that's when the mother or the father went and grabbed the car because he didn't pick it up, and they drove it back. See, the thing is, when you have this big of a story, if you leave a car, that car's in his name, or even if it's a family name, but that's the car he drives. If people see that car sitting there, they're like, well, hey, man, Brian drives that car. That car was there. He has to be in there. Has to be. When really he could be somewhere else. And it's very sad that the ball has dropped as much as it is, but it is a blessing, and it's in a disguise. It's a tragedy, but I'm glad that Gabby got found. I'm glad the family can have some type of peace coming up, but it's very sad to let somebody like this that you said that you was watching make it even worse. But it is what it is. Again, thank you
Thanks,
for what
man.
you do.
Appreciate your call.
Maybe
Thank you.
stories can come for other people that's missing now, and
Yeah,
you're the one
that's what I plan to do. Yep, I've been doing it, man. It's gonna be good. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Stay
I'll
blessed, man.
talk to you later.
All right.
All right.
I have 6 people holding. I haven't put out the number much because I want to get through these callers. I might open it up again in a little bit, but I just want to clear the calls. 330, how you doing? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. First off, I want to say how I've seen your explosion in the last week and how you're really growing. I've watched you for several years.
Oh, really? Thank you.
The last couple of years. Sometimes I do have to take a break because these kind of stories get overwhelming, and
Yeah.
they can be really hard on you. I can only imagine how it is for you because you're following case after case. So the people that aren't familiar with you.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, everybody. Almost 9:30 a.m. here on the. You can see all of the resources and man-powered all resources areas and the Denver Bureau. Now, Petito's stepfather, Jim Schmidt, visited the exact site where her body was found at the Spread Creek Dispersed Campground in the Bridger-Teton National Forest. He placed stones in the shape of a cross and flowers on the site. Now, just to give you a wider view of where her body was found, this is some drone footage that we have from the area. So we do know that as the situation was unfolding, her family kind of dispersed. Her parents were in New York. Her dad at one point came down to Florida to be in the Northport area, and her stepfather, Jim Schmidt, stayed out west as the investigation and search efforts were ongoing out there over the weekend. So again, he did make this tribute out there in stone, a cross with flowers on top right where her body was found. But we've also got people who did not know Gabby feeling the impact of her story. I want to show you some of the video that we've got from Northport, Florida here on Live Now from Fox. People paying tribute. They are bringing teddy bears, photos, and flowers. This specifically is outside of Northport City Hall, and some locals just simply stopped to pay their respects, saying that even though she was not born in Northport, the community still loves her and is thinking of her family at this time. We've also got people doing the same out in Utah, this specific memorial site at the mural where Gabby Petito's last Instagram post was taken. You can see just how happy she was in front of those butterflies. We actually did get word from her family that butterflies were her signature. They were her favorite thing. So just wanted to bring you some of these touching tributes to Gabby Petito here on Live Now from Fox. Again, we did get this photo from Fox News, our team out there, showing the memorial made by her stepfather, Jim Schmidt, where her body was found at the Spread Creek Dispersed Campground in the Bridger-Teton National Forest. Meanwhile, everybody, we do still have those aerials of the ongoing search efforts for her fiance, Brian Laundrie, still a person of interest, the only person of interest in this case. We have heard some details that more questioning might be done on the parents, because we've heard from neighbors that they took a camping trip right after Brian came back, and they did tell authorities that this reserve is the last place they knew Brian was going before they never saw or heard from him again since specifically last Tuesday.
Investigators are intensifying their search for Gabby Petito's fiance, Brian Laundrie, as they hunt for answers following her death. Police are focused on a vast nature preserve in Sarasota County, Florida. Dive teams and other crews have been scouring the swampy area all week. This comes after the FBI announced Tuesday that 22-year-old Gabby Petito was a victim of a homicide. Laundrie is believed to be the last person to see her alive. Sydney Persing is at the Carlton Reserve, where Laundrie's parents say he went last Tuesday. So Sydney, police say Brian's parents told them he came out to the area to hike last Tuesday. Why do authorities believe he may still be there?
Vlad, good morning to you. Really, we're only left to assume that they're taking that word from Brian Laundrie's parents at face value, because other than that, they will not tell us. Northport PD is done giving interviews. The FBI similarly is tight-lipped. But as you said, his parents told investigators late last week that Laundrie came here on Tuesday to the Carlton Preserve for a hike. And since then, law enforcement has responded with a serious show of force. They have infrared cameras, canines, dive teams. You mentioned this reserve is vast. It is larger than Manhattan, 25,000 acres. So again, we're really only left to assume that they are taking his parents' word at face value because of the show of force they've come here with.
So, Sydney, the other question, a couple who lived across the street from Brian Laundrie and his family say they saw his parents leave their home in a truck with an attached camper about a week after Brian Laundrie returned home alone from that cross-country trip on September 1st without Gabby. What are the developments on that?
We know the FBI is aware of it. When we heard that from neighbors, we reached out to Northport PD and we asked them about it. All they would tell us is that couple has given that tip to the FBI, but they would not go any further. We don't know how they followed that tip, if it led them anywhere, or if they're continuing to pursue it today.
And detectives are using evidence pulled from the Laundrie home to build sort of a timeline of Gabby's whereabouts before she died. What are they zeroing in on? And every day I read, which was fascinating about this case, Sydney, and I'm sure that you know this as well, is how the internet and how people around the country are providing tips, clues, digital footprints, digital breadcrumbs to law enforcement officials. Even now, even after Gabby has been identified and her death has been ruled a homicide, because people are still, helping police try to find Brian Laundrie.
Vlad, absolutely. I think if you
This is wild.
Let's get to our big
Fox
story of the day right
has
now.
the best
Crews are in
updates on
place
us,
and the
I'm
work
not gonna
has
lie.
started at the Carlton Reserve in Venice. They're hoping today is the day they'll find Brian Laundrie. Investigators say no one has seen Gabby Petito's fiance in more than a week now. Take a look at this. It's video of the Sarasota Sheriff's Underwater Recovery Force. It's a team of divers that have been brought in to help search the reserve because a lot of it is underwater. So let's bring in Fox 4's Calvin Lewis. He is live at the reserve right now. And Calvin, what can you tell us about what's going on there right now?
Well, Chris, right this second, we do know that crews have been deployed. They've received their briefing already this morning. And we're talking about crews with Northport Police. We're talking about Punta Gorda Police Department, Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. So plenty of local investigators here being deployed on this search. Right now as well, we also have the sheriff's deputy with the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office currently standing by outside here of the entrance that we've been seeing all week long to the Carlton Reserve. But an underwater recovery unit, that's just the latest piece of equipment to join the search in the search efforts here in the Carlton Reserve. The team of 10 divers and 60 officers from multiple agencies are focusing on this area within Sarasota County. That's where Laundrie reportedly went for a hike before vanishing just a little over a week ago.
It earlier mowed down a tree. A tree was in their way, and they said, all right, well, we're not going to navigate around the tree.
Take it down.
Let's just go right over it.
That
I think
is
it's
wild.
well, see, look at that right there.
So
You
that
see
email that just came out, they said they had 4 of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 of the buggies. Wow.
4 of these combing through the area. I wonder how much sound it emits.
Yeah. I mean, I got to believe
It's
a lot.
A lot. Because if all right.
It's a lot of power.
If Brian Laundrie is here and he is alive, does he hear it coming?
Right.
I'd be very curious to know.
You know, and so I've been posting a lot of updates on my Twitter feed, twitter.com/WFLA Josh, and it's so much feedback I'm getting from people is that he's gone. He's
I'm getting
tricked
the
the
same.
police into believing that he went to meditate in the reserve. They're spending a lot of time there, and now a lot of them believe he is on his way to parts unknown. And I believe a lot of listeners, viewers right now would agree with that notion. But I still back to the fact that they still are spending a lot of time here, and perhaps they may know something that we don't when it comes to the intricacies of the investigation and why they are spending so much time and resources in this reserve. Have you heard anything separately outside of what we know so far?
No.
Few details from the police at all. But to continue the search. But they said to be determined tomorrow if the search will continue. So that's interesting because we haven't heard that yet.
That's an interesting wrinkle here on Thursday, as far as day 5 of the search at Carlton Reserve. There may not be a day 6.
And what happened? And that's a good question. What happens if they call that off? What's the next step in the investigation?
Right.
Now, does this amp up to be more of a manhunt and more of a bulletin for all agencies around the country, which I'm assuming it already is, but how do you change that search now from somewhere you think you know where somebody is to now you have no idea, and you need everybody in the country to keep their eyes peeled?
Why don't you take this one that just came in moments ago? I told folks that we'd sprinkle in some new comments here. Why don't you take this one, Josh? From Amber Roberts, hashtag AJB, hashtag AJosh, could they still be searching there because a dog caught his scent? And how long would his scent, stay? Hashtag justice for Gabby.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question, because with several different dogs, cadaver dogs or search dogs, some of these dogs are specialized in taking a scent of clothing or whatnot and then utilizing that to try to find this missing person. In the event, sometimes one dog may hit and the other may not. This was the case on an investigation I've been following with a missing anchor woman for years. They searched a silo for her earlier back in 1995, and one of the cadaver dogs hit and the other one did not. So they obviously kept up the search for a while longer, because for one dog to actually hit is a very interesting point. They want to make sure that the scent might have been just a little bit off for the one dog, but the one dog did hit on something. It's not foolproof. I mean, there's definitely mistakes that can be made by the dogs, but they are very good and they're trained to do that. So that's a great point from Amber. If one of the dogs does hit, I can imagine they would spend some more time, especially in the area where the dog hit. Exhaust that area as much as possible before moving on, or else making that determination that, hey, this is enough, we're done.
And again, with evidence that they have in their possession, that could be aiding dogs. I've been saying it. I'll say it again. I've been saying it every day this week. The dogs are the potential superheroes of this story. Our four-legged friends, excuse me. And really, really curious. A lot of people have been asking about the dogs. I'm curious if they picked up on anything there.
Do they have a dog on the buggy? I think in the back, or is that? I can't really tell.
Let's go full screen. Oh, okay, just went away from that. There is a dog.
Because that would be interesting, because really all those guys have out there are line of sight on that buggy. And obviously you can hear some things, but if a dog is out there and catches a scent in the middle of nowhere, that's going to be super advantageous in trying to figure out, where this person is.
Picking up on something here, whether it's a skunk or a possum or a snake. I don't know what the dogs are sniffing here, but again, trained to pick up on scents here. We know that there's several different breeds of dog that are out here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's, to Josh's point, can we see,
I'm wrong. Somebody,
Because I know there's the van and I know there's the camper. I thought they took the pickup truck, the red pickup truck, and they took the camper that's parked out there and they went on a camping trip. And maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe there is a different one.
Maybe
we'll have to
I heard it
clarify
wrong
that.
because I thought.
Yeah, I think we'll listen to that video again.
Yeah, listen.
That's
to it
not
again
the camper. Yeah,
Such a job for them, and I can't believe that they're tackling this, but they have to. I mean, that's what they went out to do, and it's good to see the agencies are increasing. I think the help is coming out now. They said 75 personnel from 16 different agencies on the ground Thursday.